Hello everyone, my name is Jeff Hogan and welcome back to another Draft Today video set here. To open our first pack in our 665 draft, we get a pretty powerful bomb rare. So Rotpaw Gang is a 6/6 for 6. You can sacrifice another troop you control to give a flight or life drain permanently. And then while this is in your crypt, if you have double blood threshold, you can sacrifice a troop and return it to your hand. The uncommons in this pack are a little bit medium. Cottontail Warcaller's another pretty powerful card. It conscripts 2 Underworld troops when you deploy it. But Rotpaw Gang is just like a super powerful go over the top card. There isn't any really good common removal that's worth moving into the threshold for. Cheap Shot's like okay if it wheels. We're gonna definitely play that in our Rotpaw Gang deck, but I'm just gonna go ahead and pick up our bomb here for now. This pack, Power and Pain is like a playable blood card here, Conscript, and Underworld Troop with cost 4. It gets the socketed powers of this. It also has Shackling Strands here, which is a pretty premium Sapphire piece of removal. It also has Cottontail Warcaller, though I think I'm actually going to grab the Cottontail Warcaller here and maybe try and move into a Blood Wild deck. There's a Draka Outcast in this pack that could very likely wheel back around to us. Maybe do Blood Wild with a Conscript theme. I can definitely see picking up Shackling Strands, that pack being correct too, just like move into like a Sapphire Blood deck, and hope to see like Underworld Officer come our way. That being said, we passed a Cottontail Warcaller in our first pack, so maybe we can get a second one of those back around. Immediately punished for not having taken the Shackling Strands here. There's just like a ton of quality Sapphire cards in this pack. Consult the Talons is very good. Triple Mobilize, draw 3 cards. Webborn Apostate, very good. Cloudbounder, very good. The blood cards in here are a little bit mediocre. Rose Kitten's like fairly powerful. It's just like a 2/2 for 2 with Crush, and it's +2 for each of the Rose Kitten and Thorn Pup you control. I actually think we're supposed to pass all these good Sapphire cards here, as much as it pains me to pass this Consult the Talons. I think I'm going to pick up the Rose Kitten. This card's really powerful if you get a bunch of them early, so I think if we start prioritizing this now while we're still here in pack 1, maybe we can get a paid off on that. The problem with taking a powerful Sapphire card of that pack, not only do we already pass the Shackling Strands, which sends the message that, hey, you should be moving into Sapphire, but regardless of which good Sapphire card we take out of that pack, we're passing more good Sapphire cards. So whoever picks up the Shackling Strands is going to get, you know, a Cloudbounder or Webborn Apostate out of that pack, and then they're going to move into Sapphire, and we'll probably get cut on good Sapphire cards in the second pack. The good Sapphire hits keep coming. There's another Warp Steel Shards for in here, but we get kind of paid off for third picking that first Rose Kitten. We get another one here, so I'm just going to go ahead and pick that up. This is a really good start to an aggressive wild deck here. Just like, you know, when you play a second Rose Kitten on turn 3, your 2-drop has 4 power now, and you just get to start pushing. You know, maybe move like a Grandfather Elk deck with like Warcaller and Rotpaw Gang in our top end. We could also maybe get a Draka Outcast or 2 if we get some more Conscript cards coming our way, so we can just like have an aggressive curve, get Draka on 1, into Rose Kitten on 2, and do some Conscripting and just start pushing damage that way. In our next pack here, we continue seeing just like Aces Sapphire cards come around. That being said, there is an Enlarge here, which in the aggressive wild decks, I actually like this card a lot. It's a 1-cost combat trick that not only allows our troops to jump up and grab things out of the sky, that can be problematic in like the Diamond Sapphire Ada matchup, but this also allows, like, they put like a 2/2 in front of a Rose Kitten, and you get to enlarge past their 2/2, also pushing extra damage on our Crush threat. This draft could have gone very differently if we'd have picked up that Shackling Strands, but I think we're just pretty committed to this plan that we have now here. In this next pack here, we get another very reasonable Conscript card in Battle Preparations. Just 2 costs, Conscript and Ardent Troop with cost 1. The Conscripted card gets +2/+2 permanently. There's also Blood's Favor here, that this card's like, okay, each opposing champion either discards a card or you draw 2, lose 2, or you can gain some life. I think I want to grab the Battle Prep here, just because this is a second conscript card for us, and this way if we end up picking up a copy of Droka Outcaster too, we can have some conscript cards, like have a reasonable one drop that's able to apply pressure to our opponent pretty reasonably. Okay, we get another battle preparation out of this pack. I think this card's just like plenty reasonable. Usually you're paying like 3 resources for like a 3/3 with some upside. The average 1-cost Ardent Troop is actually pretty reasonable. There's a few bombs in there that are fine. I think I'd rather pick up a second battle prep rather than a second Enlarge at this point in the game. Tale of Undeath, and Dread Apprentice are both a little bit medium, so I'm 10 out of 10 going to pick that up. Honestly, at this point, like we first picked Rotpaw and we second picked Cottontail Warcaller, but we kind of got more of an aggressive deck going on. So like on the off chance like that Surging Wildfire comes back around to us that we saw in the pack with this Cottontail Warcaller, we might pick that up and start to move in a different direction just to like leverage the aggressive cards that we have here. Not married to this top end when we have these aggressive cards down low. Not seeing anything super exciting in this pack. There's a Turbulence here, destroy target troop with flight. Not super exciting. Spiritbound Vicar is actually like an okay card. It's been growing on me a little bit. Other Socketed troops you control have +1/+1, and you can put the flight on attack gem in this. So it's just like a 2/2 flyer kind of. I think I'm going to go ahead and pick this up speculatively in case we end up getting some other socketed cards. These often go late because the sockets matter. Archetype is one of the harder ones to get all the pieces for, but if we end up getting them, it could be reasonable. We could also end up picking up like the socketed Draka as a 3-cost, and this card will make that better as well. Wouldn't mind having a little bit of payoff with our few conscript cards that we have here. So our first pack comes back around to us here. Eldritch Shriek is very reasonable. Another socketed troop you control gets +1/+1. I don't think that's very playable. Be like a 4/3 or something like that. I think I'm going to go ahead and take the Sanguine Boon here. This card seems reasonable with Rose Kitten for similar reasons to Enlarge, so if we end up getting a couple more cats out of the next pack, which ideally we will, and then a Thorn Pup or 2 in our pack 3, that'll Combat Tricks galore will be pretty reasonable with them. Again, not quite sure what we're doing with our top end here. I'm going to hide the Vicar for now. And our next pack here, we end up getting an Apprentice Earthcaller back. This card says 1 shot when this becomes Valorous, draw a card. I think that's plenty reasonable to pick up. A lot of the time we can get 1 to 2 Valor producers, like Spring Dancer is a card that this archetype would value pretty highly, picking out of our set 5 pack for pack 3, and that produces a Valor, and if you can just like turn this into draw a card, that's plenty reasonable. And the Surging Wildfire came back around to us, which is almost a certain sign that no one is in Ruby Wild. So yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and pick this up, and we'll see. There might be other people in Ruby at the table, but they're definitely not in Ruby Wild currently. This card's very, very powerful. Rose Kitten encourages us to want to play Grandfather Elk anyway, just because of the crush that it has already on it and the high power. So Surging Wildfire also encourages that. And then, you know, we've got a second pack coming up here where if anyone in that if there's any Surging Wildfires in the second pack, we're likely going to get those ones too, since this wheeled all the way around the table for us. Nothing too exciting in here. I guess I'll grab the Crow Bones for now, but I think I'm going to hide these more expensive cards. This is a good example of, like, you know, not getting married to your first few picks. Like, the Surging Wildfire came back around. We've got a good wild base aggressive deck here, so definitely going to move into that. We saw Feed the Flames earlier. That doesn't look like it's come back around, but not too big of a deal. Orbiculan's an okay card if we're looking for more 2-drops. We will likely end up cutting this if we end up getting enough playables. This is a fine card to pick up for now. Grandfather Elk can help this push through on a stalled board, and then it'll continue to be a 4/4 every turn and be aggressive and apply pressure. Yep, nothing too exciting here. Dredge into the pack, just like, you know, trying to get through the chaff here. We've got about 8 playables here, so we'll see how this next pack goes. Like I said, hopefully we just get a whole basket of kittens to deliver to our opponents here, and then a pupper or two in the last pack. Nothing too exciting here. Let's hope to get some more bombs here in this next pack. To get like 2 or 3 more surging wildfires, just bring people out of the game. Just mono surging wildfires this pack. Let the forest burn. Burn, baby, burn. There's a Buffalord here. It says Diligence, summon a random, non-unique Buffalo. This is just a total bomb unlimited. If you're able to get an attack or 2 with this, it just like makes the new guy every turn, and then all the Buffaloes make each other better. So yeah, there's nothing too impressive in this pack in Ruby or Wild. Like the Boisterous Ballad is fine, the Arena Regular is fine, but the Buffalord gives us like a low-ish curve piece of top end, and like we're able to push this through with Grandfather Elk, so it can trigger Diligence and stuff like that. So it sounds plenty reasonable. Things like Enlarge, maybe pick up a Mobilized card or 2, like a Blitz in this pack would be sweet. Maybe if there had been a kitten in that pack, we'd take it over him just to like keep that train going, but without a kitten in there, we definitely just want to keep on doing what we're doing. There's a Deepwood Draka here, but I think I want to prioritize just grabbing a 3rd cat. Hopefully this Draka comes back around to us, because we already have 2 conscript cards that are reasonable, but again, Rose Kitten, we just want a whole basket of kittens. They each get +2 power for each other kitten you control, so like, you know, you get 3 of them out, you get a bunch of 6/2s for 6 resources. It's a lot of power. Hopefully we see another wildfire in this pack. That would be ideal. This card's so good. So it's a 1/4 with speed for 4 with rage 1. So every time it attacks, it gets +1 power permanently. And then when it attacks, it deals damage equal to its power to the opposing champion. So like you play this card on 4. Grandfather Elk's ability costs 4 charges. You give it +4/+4 and attack for like 10 that turn effectively. We have another copy of Battle Preparations here. That doesn't seem completely unreasonable. There's no Ruby cards in here that are particularly exciting. Yep, just gonna go ahead and pick that up. We are prepared for battle. We are going to consistently be doing the same things on turn 2 with this deck. It'd be nice if we get a Draka or something that like rewards us for battle preparation, like having these conscript cards, but like I said, I think it's still just like a fine card. A lot of time you're investing 3 resources into getting 3 or more points of power. And in the next pack, a Surging Wildfire. Maybe. This pack's not too terribly exciting. There's a Crossing Swords here, which I think is probably the pick. We really don't have much removal in our deck currently, and this can actually enable Diligence for something like the Buffalord here. The Draka Outcast is a card we mentioned kind of wanting, but I think the priority on Draka Outcast is lower than grabbing a piece of removal when we really don't have any. We just like have 1 combat trick right now. The Howling Plains Runner here is another powerful piece of top-end card that we wouldn't mind having in our aggressive deck, but like I said, I think Crossing Swords is definitely the pickup out of this pack for us. are... So, this pack's actually pretty reasonable for us, right? So there's a Flame Guard here that's another powerful 2-drop. It's a 3-1 for 2 that target opposing troop can't block this turn. There's also a Blitz here, though, and I think Blitz is definitely the card we want. If we get to go, like, Rose Kitten on 2 into, like, second Rose Kitten on 3 with 1 resource up, and then we can Blitz through this cat for as an 8-4. Gets through almost every blocker. This card gives you very, very insane amounts of reach. It's nuts with Surging Wildfire. It's, like, 8 points of damage with that card, essentially, so... Yeah, 10 out of 10 going to pick the Blitz up here. I would love it if this Flame Guard came back around to us, but I also wouldn't be surprised if he gets picked up. We saw a Feed the Flames that didn't wheel earlier, so I'm assuming whoever picked that up is going to grab the Flame Guard, but I think Blitz is the stronger card in the context of our deck here so far. Immediately get past another Flame Guard here, but there's a Monk. I really love this card. I think this is one of the better wild cards in this format, and I'm 10 out of 10 going to pick this up. It's a 3-3 for 3. That on Diligence gets +2/+2 and Spell Shield until the start of our next turn. So just like really very powerful. Once this card gets Diligenced and gets going, it's very hard for your opponents to interact with. And again, we're going to be playing Grandfather Elk, so we can hit this with Grandfather Elk's ability on our 4th turn when we would attack with it for the first time. And attack with it as a 6/6, and then it starts Diligencing into a 5/5, just continuing the beatdown again and again and again. In a dream world, we get both those Flame Guards come back around to us, but almost certainly not going to happen. Okay, we got a Gallant Sentinel here. This is a card that produces a Valor for the Apprentice Earthcaller if we end up playing that. And it's a 3-3 with Skyguard, so even if we don't main this, we'll almost certainly board it in at a certain point in the matchup. There's still a Rift Spasm here in this pack, which again, I've mentioned if you've watched before, I think this is kind of a trap card in the Charges Matters deck. I think Rock Slider and Arena Regular are the real payoffs, but this card's fine if you're already in those 2 thresholds. I'm going to pick the Gallant Sentinel up. Ideally, if we finish strong with this deck, which we're a little medium right now, I've only got about 15 playables and 24 cards, the Orbiculon, the Apprentice Earthcaller, and the Gallant Sentinel are all cards we could be looking to upgrade. The Apprentice Earthcaller stock goes up if we have a good set 5-pack for our 3rd pack, because we could get things like Ashwood Firebrand and other quality Ruby cards that produce Valors in the 3rd set pack. Holy cow. Man. We probably miffed up a little bit by not moving into Sapphire in this draft. Webborn Apostate is one of the better Sapphire uncommons, and like 7 people have. We are the last person to see this pack, and there's still a Webborn Apostate in it. So unless there were a bunch of playable Sapphire cards, we probably should have been in there. I'm going to go ahead and grab Silencing Sneak here. This is Scrounge 2, deploy, destroy target opposing constant. We'll definitely board this card in against like Bloodspinner, Zorath, or 2 Tomahawks, or anyone else that has really powerful constants that we need to kill. This is our first pack come back around to us now, so we're not getting any more Rose Kittens out of this pack, which is kind of sad. Hopefully we see some Thorn Puppers in the last one. There's an Arena Regular here, which is like an okay card, like medium minus. There's a Zap here, which is fine probably. 1 damage to an opposing champion or troop and gain a charge, so I think I'm going to go ahead and pick that up. A lot of the time when you draft Ruby in this format, your payoff comes in the 3rd pack if your deck ends up being strong, just because the best Ruby cards are in set 5. Wow. Remember other cards from this pack. Chastise is like a premium removal spell in this format. Targeted troop, opposing troop deals damage equals power to itself. That being said, Deepwood Draka is on Shard for us, and we have 3 conscript cards, so this is pretty reasonable. Whenever you get a conscripted troop, it gets the socketed powers of this, so probably put Swift Strike in here, possibly put +1 power and Crush in it, not sure. Swift Strike is pretty good alongside Grandfather Elk and Combat Tricks, though. Although we only have 1 Combat Trick and Enlarge so far. I'm going to go ahead and grab the Fury Splitzer here. Double Ruby might be a little bit prohibitive, but if we end up short on playable, this is a card I'm not unhappy to play. In this dex pack, Table of Carnage is actually okay, right? Target troop gets Diligence. This gets +3 power permanently. maybe we'll try this. It's pretty good with crushed troops, right? Seems pretty insane with like Monk here that can just keep beating down. Scraptooth Gnasher, I guess. Maybe if we get a bunch of Brute Crown Bashers in the last pack, we could play this card, but that's kind of the dredge end of the pack here. We're up to like 17-ish playables. Like I said, there's a couple of cards in our deck that if we have a strong pack 3, we're going to be looking to upgrade, like the Orbiculon and like the Galleon Sentinel, but the core's okay-ish for now. It's actually our 3rd day in a row drafting wild decks with Ruby, so I think our strongest was definitely yesterday's, if I recall. It had the worst record than the first one, but it was fairly consistent. This deck's kind of mediocre. We've got like okay threats. It'll depend on how many Thorn Pups we're fortunate enough to see in this last pack, I think. If we get like 2 or 3 Thorn Pups, that would be insane. But that's a lot to ask out of a single pack. Wow, okay, so we actually get a pretty quality card here, Puke Troll. 3/3 for 3 that says 1 shot at the center play this turn, pay X, target gets +X/+X, and crush this turn. We could gamble a little bit here and like take the Acolyte of Shoku, because this is less likely to wheel. This is the more powerful card for our deck though, so I'm just going to go ahead and be conservative and just pick this up so we guarantee ourselves this Puke Troll. Bum ba dum bum bum bum. When your first pick is easy, there's a lot of waiting. Bum ba dum bum bum bum. Pull up my spreadsheet with my draft records and add this deck to it. Next pack here, a couple different ways this could go. Spring-Loader Disciple doesn't do much in this deck, although, Spring-Loader Disciple actually combos with Battle Preparations, because Battle Preparations creates a 1-cost card, and Spring-Loader Disciple says if you would create one or more a 1-cost card, you create 2 of them instead. That being said, I think Bolt Spasm is probably the better card for our deck. It's like far more aggressive, and we definitely have an aggressive slant in our deck. So like, anytime we're on the play angle, like turn 1 Bolt Spasm is going to get in like 3 to 6 points of damage. That's just pretty insane. Especially if we're able to follow it up with like Running Rose Kittens. Like, this is 10 out of 10 the card we're interested in taking out of this pack. And then we immediately get a second Bolt Spasm. Well, yep, I'm just going to go ahead and snap that right up here. Would love it if this Feral Squeaker or the Ayotachi Brute come back around. This card is going to consistently be a 3-drop for us in this deck, but yeah, 10 out of 10 just like drafting another Bolt Spasm here so we can consistently be applying a lot of pressure to our opponents. No Thorn Pup so far, which is kind of a sad day for Mrs. Rose Kitten here. Man. Is this like the first time I'm going to see a Lava Shaper in... I guess these are Ardent, right? They create an Ardent troop, so that's 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 Ardent troops. The conservative plays probably take this Root Langer because we can just put Swift Strike in it and call it a day, but I think we can scrounge together another 2 Ardent troops or so out of this pack, and this is just one of the more powerful cards in this format in general. It's like a 3/3 that can deploy to kill something, so I think if we can end up supporting this, it would definitely be worthwhile. Our deck's light on removal to begin with, and it's a powerful effect, so we're going to prioritize picking cards that are Ardent lined a little bit higher. And immediately get past a pack with an Ashwood Transmitter here. Steven at a glance over here for Ardent Troops. I think this card is very good, even if we're not looking for Ardent Troops. 3/2 for 3. You can discard a card from your hand to create a random Ruby common, so it allows you to like filter a resource into a piece of action in the mid to late game, which is good. No longer can we really cut this Apprentice Earthcaller, even though we only have one Valor producer so far, because we just need the Ardent count for this Lava Shaper. Hide the Orbiculon for now. Cremate, just, we mentioned being short on removal. This deals 2 damage to something, and if you can scrounge it, it becomes free. So 10 out of 10, gonna go ahead and pick that up. It's good, cheap removal. If we like get to lead on Bolt Spasm into like second Bolt Spasm, Cremate your blocker, like gonna apply a lot of pressure and push a lot of people out of games. We only have our curve kind of tops out at 4 here, so we'll probably only need to play 20 or 17 resources in this deck. So we need like 1 more playable out of this pack for our deck rounded out well. Would love if it was a Thorn Pup. The old pack 1, pick 3, pick 4 Rose Kitten. Only to ever see 1 more Rose Kitten and no Thorn Pups. It's such a sad day. It's one of the risks you run picking up these cards, but it's still sad when it doesn't pan out. So these cards are definitely a little bit better in sealed because you can just like open your pool and see if you have them or you don't. You don't have to pick them up speculatively hoping to see the other pieces that you need. So there's a Baby Yeti in here, but we only have 1 more new pack to pick from in this pack, so it's probably not reasonable to pick that up. Clobberdon's like okay, but realistically we're probably not playing it because of these Bolt Spasms. We're gonna need a pretty high Ruby count to consistently play these out on the first turn of the game, so old Clobby is probably not going to make the cut here. Hopefully we see like another Lava Shaper in this pack. That would be insane. There's no way that made it past everyone though. This is our last new pack. Thorn Pupper would be wonderful. This is our last chance to get a Thorn Pup for the Rose Kittens. Nothing super exciting here. I guess we get a Battlefield Ironsmith because it's another Ardent Troop. It also like adds 6 attack into play for 3 resources, which is pretty sweet, but not super exciting and kind of sad that we ended up going the entire pack 3 without getting any Thorn Pups, which are just a common. All I needed was a Thorn Puppy, the Thorn Puppy. At least we have all these 2/2 crushes for 2. Hopefully we can just have our cats clumped together, just like draw them out as 4 power duders every game. So we've got like 23 playables here, so anything we're picking up at this point needs to be a strict upgrade for something else. This pack's a good example of this. There's not any strict upgrades in it. Crackling Blast or Cerulean Lookout are probably the most playable cards, so I guess I'll take the Cerulean Lookout since it's the uncommon, I suppose. Neither of those cards are particularly high pick playable, so not surprised that they wield. And we have this first pick Rotpaw Gang here. It's just like not going to end up in our deck, so you know, just because you pick something up. Our pack 1, pick 1, and pick 2 actually ended up not being in here. Huh, the Spring Litter Disciple is still here. I think I'm going to pick this up. I don't know what I want to cut for it, but this card seems pretty reasonable with triple battle preparation. The Zap's probably a little bit mediocre. It seems fine. Feral Squeaker came back around. I don't know that I'm going to play Feral Squeaker. I think it's worse than the other 3s. It's probably marginally better than Apprentice Earthcaller, but the fact that Apprentice Earthcaller enables our Lava Shaper to be powerful probably means that Apprentice Earthcaller wants to stay. I guess Spring Litter Disciple also works well with our Galleon Sentinel, right? Like Valor's a 1-cost card, so this doubles up 4 different cards that we have. I'm going to go ahead and pick up this Rustin Rune here. Destroy an artifact or a constant. So again, if our opponent has powerful artifacts or constants, one of the constants champions, perhaps we could have extra answers to board in to deal with them. It's probably going to be a 9 wild, 8 ruby deck. Yeah, I've got a double wild here, a double wild there. And our ruby is all single, plus we just have like less ruby cards than we do wild cards. So we'll slot up Grandfather Elk. We'll go ahead, and I think I'm going to go ahead and put Swift Strike in the Straka, and then we will do some battle with Grandfather Elk. I'm going to go ahead and just wrap up the draft video part here by saying thank you everyone for watching. And remember, if you enjoyed today's videos, to like them on YouTube and share them on your social media. Remember, there's lots of other ways you can support my content as well, such as subscribing for $4.99 a month on Twitch or becoming a patron on Patreon. You can also support my content by supporting my sponsors, who currently are hexprimal.com. They would love to sell you some Hex TCG singles. So if you're looking to buy some stuff anyways, you can do so on their website with the code Jeff5 to save 5% on your order. Thanks everyone for watching. Remember to stay tuned tuned for some awesome gameplay videos, followed by a wrap-up talking about how the deck did in the matches that we played. So thanks for watching, folks, and see you again soon.